Hey everyone, Snowflarky Zemos. I'm here today with a new video. I'm getting in the process of moving. My setup is necessarily taken down for the week, so I thought I would do a little something different and something I kind of wanted to do anyway, which was do a review series on sets as they come out. Just kind of give a thoughts on them from a more casual player's perspective. That way I can talk about how I feel about the new big stuff that's coming in. But more importantly, one thing I'm making this for is to have more discussion about some of the pack filler and stuff in there. I have a fascination with pack filler, namely because I have an ever-expanding draft set that I build upon to play with friends that the pack filler stuff is usually good for, and just because I, have a lot of interest in cards that are just kind of generic stuff, and so let's see what they do. So with that, let's start talking about Dimension Force. First off, let's talk about the kind of the three big archetype draws of this set: Libromancers, Therions, and Scareclaw. Seems to be the set, the archetypes that are, kind of supported by the set. Libromancers being a TCG exclusive. And what I have to say is, personally, don't care for any of them. I don't like their aesthetic too much. They got this. The Therions are alright. They're just machine guys, but I don't think they look that cool. And Libromancers and Scareclaw are way too anime protagonist-y for me. Not a big fan of that art style in general when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! But seems like they will be pretty popular decks. Also can't say I have much care for their playstyle, although Libromancers having some ritual stuff is always cool, like rituals. So I'll be curious to see what any of them I can do, but honestly, not for me. Nothing I'm looking at in there. The thing that I do consider the big win for me in this set is that Dimension Force gives us new Heroic Challenger support. Heroic Challenger is an archetype that I am alright with. I really like the Assault Halberd and Thousand Blades combo when that came out in World Superstars, and I liked what those cards were. I've played Assault Halberd for a long time in Amazonas, and Thousand Blades, of course, in Amazonas, and I have a Clown Blade engine in my Silent Lightsworn deck that's pretty cool. So given that there's new cards for Heroic Challenger to kind of make it its own deck, and it's very accessible, definitely something I'll be picking up and playing it. It's basically kind of just Utopia Double deck, which, that already exists with any deck that can make rank 4s, but they have their own big payoff rank 4 here with their new Heroic Champion, which is a pretty cool card. They have this gimmick around getting your life points less than 500 to get additional effects. Pretty cool. Morningstar, of course, being one of the new cards that adds a heroic spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Pretty cool. Always good to give an archetype a searcher. And then, of course, we got Knuckle Sword, which, you could special summon this card pretty easily if you control another heroic monster, and of course you can target another warrior monster you control with a level, and the level of that monster becomes the level of the other. So you can either make this one a level 4 for rank 4 play, or you can make that one a rank 1 to make their other new heroic champion that came in the set. Pretty cool. And of course they have Heroic Envoy, a spell card that adds a heroic monster from your deck to your hand, so it can search whichever one you need. Morningstar. So basically the gimmick of this deck is that you just get 2 on board when your opponent has a monster. You can make Heroic Champion Clavasol here. Forgive me for butchering of the name. And then, of course, you could pay life points so that you have 500 left. And at the start of your battle phase, double the attack of one monster you control. When an attack is declared involving your opponent's monster, detach one material from this card, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls. This card gains attack equal to that monster's attack. So that's pretty cool. Doubling attack, an effect to gain more attack. And I believe there is another Heroic Spell or Trap card that also doubles the attack. Heroic Chance here. Target a face-up heroic monster you control. This turn double its attack, but it cannot attack your opponent directly. So like Utopia Double, you can just boost one monster really high and, attack for game just from the life point damage done through there, which is pretty cool. I literally have all these cards except the new ones that came out in Dimension Force, and so I'll just be picking this up and playing it. Pretty cool. you'll definitely be seeing a profile about that. And for the last part here, I just wanted to talk about some cards that caught my attention, things that are cool that I might want to do stuff with or just have something to say about. First off, we're going with Algol Mazera. Very cool, new version of the Zera line of cards. Really cool looking card that, has the Dark Lord version, has the Arc Lord. A lot of cool lore stuff. And of course, now we have Algol Mazera here for zombie support. If a zombie monster you control be destroyed by a battle or card effect, banish this card from your hand or graveyard instead. We've been seeing this effect a lot on spell cards with things like Fury of the Karyushin. I remember Return of the Dragon Lords was one of the early biggest examples of this. And I always think that's a cool effect. Cool to have. This one as a monster means you can call by the grave it to avoid it, so that's something. But, of course, if this card is banished from the hand or graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position and then reduce its level by 1. So that's pretty cool. An easy way to summon it, you banish this card from your hand and grave to protect the zombie, and then you get to special summon this guy for free. He's got 2300 defense, which is pretty solid, and of course when he dies, he'll go back into the grave, and you'll be able to keep looping him. I really like things where you can loop just like a big body, so that'll be pretty cool. Next up, we got Divine Dragon, Titana Machia. Pretty cool card. Certainly not good at all. This special summon card cannot be destroyed by battle. Who cares? It's got 3000 attack. And then, of course, you can only use each of the effects. The reason I want to talk about this card is that it has this effect that you can banish 3 Divine Dragon from your graveyard and or face up on the field, including this card on the field, to destroy all cards your opponent controls. That's kind of an effect that I wish we would see on more cards. Something I would definitely like to see is some cards that reward you for having 3 copies, like in Dispose of, and have a big payoff like that. So definitely something I want to see more of, and I think that's a cool effect that should be done more with. Next year, we got the Amphibious Booger MK11. Big fan of the Umi deck and the Water deck, so definitely we'll be picking up this card. When Umi's not in the field, this card has gains 700 attack, so it makes it a 2550. Pretty cool, bigger than Summon Skull. And then, of course, while Umi is on the field, you can target a face-up non-water monster on the field and destroy it. You can only use this effect once per turn. So it's pretty cool. This is just a good normal summon body. It's a machine, so there can only be one already as a really good home in the Umi deck, and having a new type with a good effect is pretty good. And of course, being a level 5 or higher, it means it has synergy with all the normal legendary ocean stuff, and it just has a cool effect to pop a card. So definitely probably outclassed by the new stuff coming in Duelists of the Deep, but still pretty cool. Next, we got Mare of the Shore, which is pretty cool. 4-star monster with 1500 attack. Basically, this card is cool because if you normally special summon it, you can send an Aqua monster from your deck to the graveyard. Lots of cool things you can do with that. Bury your statue of the Torrent as an Aqua monster, so you can send that and pull it back out with a revival card. The Testudos are in there, and so that's just pretty cool. And of course, it even has this other effect that during your end phase, you contribute it to target an Aqua monster in your grave and add it to your hand, so that you can use it to search a card and get it into your hand if you want. Just a card that I definitely see having some potential. Anything where you can just throw a generic type in the grave from an effect is worth considering. Also, the level 4 water synergy is pretty cool. Make Bahamut Shark, who knows? Next, we got Flip Jar. Just want to talk about Flip Jar because Flip Jar is a sick looking card. The jars are always iconic Yu-Gi-Oh monsters, and this one's got that goofy jar look with its own mechanical uniqueness. This card's pretty cool. Changes many other monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position, which is pretty dope. I'm a big fan of flip effect decks. I play Dice Jar, Prediction Princesses, and there might be something fun that can be done with this card. If not, that will definitely be a cool draft card too, just a little disruptive. And then, of course, return as many face-up spells and traps as possible from the field to the hand. Each player sets spells and traps from their hand up to the number of returned to their hand by this effect. So pretty cool. Just lets you reset some stuff. Makes it so the stuff is reset and can't be used now. Pretty cool. This one is pretty cool. Yamataro Orochi, pretty sick. It's a level 1 Sea Serpent tuner, but it has the effect that it can be treated as a level 8 when used for a synchro summon. So just a really accessible tuner to let you go into generic rank 9s or higher pretty easy. It can be pulled out with 1-for-1 because it's a level 1 monster. The only thing that makes me sad about this is that it can't be used to make White Horror Behemoth because it requires a water synchro tuner, which means you can't just get a level 2 synchro and this guy to make it, which kind of stinks, but well, pretty cool card. Will be fun to see if I can come up with something with that. Crow Tengu, this is a card mostly that's probably just going to be going in my draft set. If this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, or if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, target attack position monster your opponent controls, destroy it. So it's a weak monster for a limited draft format as far as stats, but it's got a decent effect that can trigger, in that kind of draft format where I'm already playing things like Man-Eater Bug that are in there, just a different way to go about it. Next, we got Chalcy the Ghost Blocker. Pretty cool monster. 1900 spellcaster, so already with a stun effect. So, some ideas there for like a secret village of the spellcaster stuns type strategy. It says that neither player can activate the effects of spell or trap cards in the grave. Pretty cool. Lots of spells and traps that got grave effects nowadays, so dope. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a spell or trap in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So, still take care of a card that would, that it was blocking before. Just remove it when you're done. Pretty sweet. And next we got Yakuza Lord of 8 Thunders here. This is just a level 8 monster that you can special summon by banishing a level or rank 8 monster from your graveyard. Pretty sweet. Just a nice little hand extender for any deck that makes rank 8s or could use more level 8 monsters. And I like cards like this. You can target a level or rank 8 Ritual Fusion Synchro or XZ monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and then apply the following depend on the return monster's type. If it's a Ritual or Fusion, you draw a card. If it's a Synchro or XZ, this card gains 1000 attack, making it a 3000 attack monster. So that Ritual or Fusion one is definitely big because, it lets you cycle a card. And, of course, you can use this just to recycle extra deck monsters, which is pretty dope. So yeah, definitely some cool looking monsters, things I'm going to be using. This would also make a good draft card just because, there's other level 8s in the draft set and give you a reason to play some because, if you can banish a Barbaros or something, make this pretty dang cool. Next here, we're going to look at some of the cool spells and traps that are in here. We got Zombie Reborn, which targets a zombie monster in either grave. Nice, always good to have Zombie World synergy. And banish one monster with the same name from your deck or extra deck, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster to your field. So pretty dope. If you're playing multiple copies, it just lets you reborn one to get some stuff out by dumping one from your deck. Pretty cool. And then, of course, if this card is in your graveyard, you could shuffle a banished zombie monster, probably the one you use for its first effect, into the deck, and if you do, set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, kind of twice reborn that, you can use. Now, you can only use one zombie reborn effect per turn, so you're not going to be able to get both summons in one turn, but it gives you something to do on a follow-up play, and that's pretty cool. Definitely a cool card for zombies. Next, Crossed Exclusion. I always love these just dumb counter traps. When your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand, negate the activation. So a little bit of a niche effect, although, an opponent activating a monster effect in their hand traps are so common that, there's lots of opportunity to play it. And if you do, you get a free negate, and then you can discard a card from their hand. Now they get to pick, which is, they're probably going to discard something they'd like to see in the grave, or they don't care about losing. But still, you can catch someone off guard. Might be a fun card to try out in a counter fairy deck just to cheese. But, and since I have that, definitely something I'm looking at. It'll be very funny at least. Omega Judgment, target a face-up monster card in your spell and trap card zone, and 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them. There's so many of these different Icarus attack type cards. Usually they're for monster types, but this is an interesting one. face-up monsters in your spell and trap card zone. So things that are getting equipped, Phoenix, Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, I'm equipping monsters. Relinquish stuff equips monsters. Definitely cool. If you were someone who had a limited collection and were playing a deck like one of those that has an equipped monster, and something worth trying. Also, TCG, pretty cool. Next one is Backup Team. Now, Backup Team is pretty cool. I like this card a bit. You draw cards equal to the number of cards your opponent controls, then place cards from your hand on the bottom of the deck in any order equal to the number of cards you drew. During your end phase, if your opponent controls more cards than you do while this is in your graveyard, set it but banish it when it leaves the field. This is cool just as you can draw a lot of cards, and while you got to put stuff back, you can really stack your hand with this. And that's awesome. Um, a lot of people like Skull Dread because of its ability to stack your hand, and this is another card to do so. Definitely cool, and of course, we have like backup soldier and whatnot. So having the backup team, as a UA looking vibe, always cool to see those themes. Really like that. One of my favorite parts of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's it for the generic spell and trap stuff. Next, just some other things I wanted to talk about here. There's some legacy support in here. This is the set where we get that new continuous spell from War Rocks that when your opponent controls a single summon monster, you can control a level 7 or higher War Rock monster. During main phase 1, neither player can activate the effects of monsters on the field. So, giving them like a one-sided skill drain. Pretty solid. War Rock's a very weak deck, so definitely a powerful effect. Probably something you're going to play. And then, of course, during your main phase, you can set a War Rock spell and trap card directly from your deck, except War Rock Medium. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except warrior monsters. So, pretty cool. A skill drain effect for most archetypes would be good enough, but having that additional effect, pretty cool. I don't think it's going to solve anything about War Rocks, but it's a good option to have. Next, we got the Symphonic Warriors. They got a new card. Which puts a counter on it, of course, and then you can remove 3 counters to add a warrior monster from your deck to your hand. And of course, if you normal summon or special summon a Symphonic Warrior, you can add 1 Symph Amplifier from your deck to your hand. So pretty cool. Let you search a card, can let you, add monsters from the deck. Pretty cool. Symphonic Warriors don't have a lot of attention, so I just want to put out that I think it's cool. Symphonic Warriors are getting more cards. Good stuff. And additionally, the Weather Painters get a new card, which is pretty nice. It's a field spell that, of course, when you activate it, places a weather spell and trap from your deck face up. So, lets that online, even if it's a trap card. Definitely pretty cool. And pulling stuff out of the deck. Kind of good stuff. I imagine this will be pretty good. Lots of cool effects. We'll see what this does for weather. But, Weather Painter, a deck that people like, a little weak. And but it's pretty cool. And last, we got some cool extra deck monsters to talk about here. One of them, of course, these new zombie synchros, which are pretty sweet. Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord is cool. I've always thought it was interesting that Red Eyes has this sub-zombie theme going on for a while, and I like that they keep bringing it back. During your opponent's turn, you can target a zombie in your graveyard, except Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord, and special summon it. Pretty cool. Just, it has kind of has that vibe of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, summoning a dragon all the time. So you're just summoning other, zombies with it. Pretty cool. And of course, if this card's in your graveyard, you can banish a zombie you control, special summon this card. So another recurring big body. Really always like that. Pretty fun. So that's a cool card. Cool card to have for zombies. Next is Corpse Dragon Lord Felgrand, so like a zombie version of Felgrand, which is pretty dope. I really like this version of the zombies of other iconic monsters. That was kind of how zombies were originally introduced with Bones. Like, he had monsters and then they died and they became zombie versions of those monsters. So definitely has good flavor to it. If this card is special summon, target a monster in your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it. That's what Felgrand cards do, so pretty cool. And of course, if a monster is special summoned from either graveyard while this monster is on the field, you can target one other face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn. So I don't think this one is as good as Dragon Lord, the Red Eyes one, but still pretty cool. Good option to have. you know, getting to banish a card is pretty dope. Another thing that's in here, musical sumo dice. This card is hilarious. It requires 2 level 6 monsters, and at the start of your opponent's battle phase, if this card is in the main monster zone, you roll a 6-sided die and move this card directly that many zones, 1 to 6, clockwise, and if a monster is already in that zone it moves to, attach that monster to this card as a material. It transfers its materials to this card. Pretty cool. If this effect causes this monster's number of materials to exceed 6, you win the duel. If this card cannot be moved, or the monster in the zone it moves to cannot be attached, send this card to the graveyard. So, pretty cool card. Really love wacky alternate win conditions. If somebody could pull this off, I want to see it. This will make some funny replays, especially if there's a way that somebody can find to do some XZ stacking to build up on the musical sumo dice, so that maybe you only have to use its effect once and grab one monster if you can already get 5 materials under it some other way. And it will be really funny. Maybe something I'll try out. But you know, between dice flip, between dice rolling, alternate win condition, really goofy moving mechanic, just lots of wild stuff. Very funny card, and I appreciate card design like this. And of course, as a Gaia the Fierce Knight fan, I gotta say that this set has the Curse of Dragon, the magical night dragon. Pretty cool. Requires a warrior monster and a level 5 or higher dragon monster, so, you know, pretty much the Gaia standard. Except with a little flexibility, because it doesn't even need to specifically be a Gaia. If you fusion summon a level 7 dragon fusion monster, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material. So that's pretty cool. Gives you the option to fuse into this and then, you know, make this and then use the same fusion materials you just used to make this to make an additional monster. And playing with this on Master Duel, I found that's pretty useful sometimes if I need just a little bit extra attack to end the game. An extra 2,000 certainly helps with that. And of course, if this card is fusion summoned, target a spell or trap card in your graveyard that mentions Gaia the Dragon Champion and add it to your hand. So pretty cool. That can add your Spiral Fusion back, and if you're playing some of the Gaia traps, it can add those too. Definitely just a cool way to get those cards back and fuse. So definitely a nice addition to add to the deck. Definitely will be picking up a bunch of this. Very cool. Pretty useful card for Gaia. Glad to have it. So that's it for the cards I want to talk about in Dimension Force here. As a you know, little summary here, I will say as far as the big draw archetypes, nothing very interesting for me, but lots of funny, cool, and just good flavor pack filler in this, and I appreciate it. Good bout of legacy support for decks that could use it, and of course just some cool extra deck monsters. So, you know, some cool stuff. So, you know, so there's some highs and lows. Definitely said I'd be more interested in if I liked any of the new archetypes, but you know, I'll probably just buy the singles out with the pack filler here instead of opening up any of this. Overall, I'd say maybe that give this set a 6 out of 10. But, you know, that's just me. What do you think? Are you a big fan of Dimension Force? Do you like the new archetypes? Love to know what you think, and I'd love to have any discussion about any of these cards that may have caught your eye, or a card from Dimension Force that I forgot. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And for now, I'm signing out. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.